Do you think it's a good idea that MPs have had a pay rise? You might have seen that IPSA, which is the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, has awarded members of Parliament a 5% increase in their pay, bringing them to about £98,000 per annum. And that's due to rise to £110,000 by the end of this Parliament, so 2029. Although some people would say, yes, we should pay MPs more money. In fact, what they get at the moment is ridiculously low when compared to, for example, a chief executive of a local council or the CEO of a relatively well-run business or medium-sized enterprise. That salary of about £100,000 is very, very low when you consider the responsibilities and the work of an MP. Now, I'm sure that's true, that when compared to other standards in society, in the public sector, in the private sector, an MP's salary really seems fairly meagre for what they're expected to do. On the other hand, should the role of a Member of Parliament be aligned to a job? Are we saying that our Members of Parliament are employed? Or should those MPs actually have an ability to think independently, to represent their party, the political views of the party, and to vote accordingly? But surely they should also be able to promote or to support areas of policy that they believe is very important, that are their own personal priorities. So it might be something in their constituency that's highlighted a real need for somebody to be a champion of a particular issue. It might be to do with consumer rights. It might be to do with freedom of speech. It might be to do with the cost of some kind of business, housing, or another issue that has cropped up within their remit, which they decide to pursue. Now, if we're saying that MPs have to have a job description and therefore they are paid in commensuration with that job description, we're really restricting how our MPs can behave and act. Maybe some people think that's a good thing. I actually don't think it's a good thing. I think an MP is a Member of Parliament to represent you as their constituency representative, but also they are your constituency representative, but also they're there to promote and work on areas of policy and law, and also scrutinise legislation. This is a vital role for the MP, and too many MPs get tied up in too many other administrative burdens and fail to scrutinise public policy and legislation effectively. And this is why we need a good MP. We need MPs that are well educated, that understand the law, that understand the process of parliamentary scrutiny, and can be effective on committees and also within the House of Commons as debaters and articulate to be able to put forward a point of view. I actually believe that if MPs were not paid a penny, this might improve our Members of Parliament. Members of Parliament who are not paid at all are going to have to rely on their own resources. Perhaps they've got a business that they rely on. Perhaps they have an independent income. Now, of course, many people will argue with me on this point and say, but if we don't pay MPs at all, we're not going to get people who represent the ordinary man or woman in the street. OK, I accept that. But that is, of course, why you would have an MP who could be sponsored. And many, many years ago, for example, when the Labour Party were first established, it was unions that would support those individuals. Unions would pay the salaries or the income of an MP because the MP had a very lowly salary at that stage. They were paid expenses and a very small amount, but they didn't have to rely on the salary, their MP salary, as sustaining them. It wasn't expected that they'd be paid to be sustained, to be a political representative in the House of Commons. And this is what I object to. There are too many MPs who do this now as a job. It is a career option for them. And then when they start to chair committees, when they perhaps take on a ministerial role, whether that's a junior ministerial role leading to a more senior position, they get extra incentives, they get extra bonuses, they get extra income. Do we want our MPs to be earning a salary akin to a job? Surely that aligns them with the civil service. And as we know, the civil service has grown and grown and grown and grown. Now, the Electoral Commission are the ones who decides the electoral boundaries within our country, within our nation. And we have a set number of MPs within the House of Commons. Those numbers are very unlikely to grow too much, but they could grow if the Electoral Commission decides that the numbers coming into the UK, the population numbers that we have at the moment, warrant having another constituency. And occasionally you will see, of course, boundaries change between two constituencies because of the growth in the population. However, if we are going to align our MPs with having a job, with having a role which is effectively measured by their salary, I think we are getting into very, very dangerous territory. And we have got into this territory. What we should be doing is encouraging people to stand for Parliament who are independently means. They have means of independent nature so that they can stand without having to recourse to public funds.